introduce to you tonight's referee crew, headed by Wench Warden. Well, without further ado, let's bring out the teams, Dragon.
They're cold. They bleed blue. Let's give it up for your Heartless Heathers! Skating for you tonight, debuting number 19, Bacchanalian. 727, Bumper Sticker. Number 97, it's Butcher Block. Number 8, China Doll Assassin. Number 3, D-Day. And D20, it's F-Bomb. Number 2, it's French Tickler. Number 65, Lieutenant Yeherda. 100, it's Mercy. 308 Savage, Skintastic Dynamite. Number 9, it's Soul Train. 17H, the Blast Unicorn. 3500, Twat Rocket. 2012, Wetback Attack. Number 80, Tequila. And number 54, White Flight. Let's have a big round of applause for your Heartless Heathers!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your derby-loving hands together for the ladies decked out in red and black. They are your Break Neck Betties! The Betties are captained by number 7-year bitch, Marolyn Monroe. And number 1016, Domesticated Violence. Their roster includes number 88, Barbahella. Number 2x4, Deconstructor. Number 4x4, Francesca. Number 18, Frisky Sour. Number 1719, Give Her No Quarter. Number 360, Joyride. Number 00100, Leet Speaking Missile. Number 1337, Lethal Lolita. Number 847, The Mad Splatter. Number XOX, Northern Lights Out. Number 222 Carrots, The Princess Snide. Number 201, Push Latouche. Number 94, Scrappy Go Lucky. Number 51, Shove Me Tender. And number 20, So Acid. Not skating for the Betties tonight are DD Monic, Slim Shady, and 1-800 Incognegro. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Break Neck Betties! Well, fans, in case you weren't aware, just to let you know, DV, domesticated violence, captain for the Betties, is out for the season with a broken fib. And 1-800 Incognegro is still nursing a fractured arm. We wish them both a speedy recovery.
Well, Mike, let's talk about what is at stake tonight.
Well, tonight is a battle for second place. Right now, the Break Neck Betties come into this bout in sole possession of second place, and if they are victorious, they will remain in second place. The Heartless Heathers, however, if they are victorious, they will share second place with the Break Neck Betties after this bout, and that is important because the top two teams at the end of the season will be playing for the championship.
I don't say this a lot, but tonight is anyone's game.
Indeed it is, and to the surprise of no one, on the jam line for the Break Neck Betties, number 20, Sulfuric Acid.
And Captain the Blast Unicorn up there for the Heartless Heathers.
30 minutes on the period clock.
Well, we're gonna start this bout out. There are 10 skaters on the track, 8 are blockers, 2 are jammers.
And the jammers you can recognize by the star on their cap. Sulfuric Acid quickly off the jammer line.
Now, as the jammers pass through this pack, the first one through without incurring any penalties is gonna get lead jammer, just like the Blast Unicorn right now.
Blast Unicorn was the first one through the pack. She is the lead jammer. She passed every blocker legally. However, Sulfuric Acid came out of the pack right behind her and has since overtaken her.
Blast Unicorn calling off the jam. No points scored for either team. Pony?
Rose City Rollers would like to thank Rockstar, the official energy drink of the Rose City Rollers, and all your teams here tonight. Pick yourself up some Rockstar energy drink right now.
Now, Mike, regardless of who is lead jammer, both are eligible to score points, correct?
Indeed. Once they make it through the pack on their initial pass, whether they are lead jammer or not, the jammers score points by passing opposing blockers legally.
And that's how you get points in this game. Tequila jamming for the Heartless Heathers, quickly up the inside line, getting lead jammer once again for that blue star.
Joyride jamming for the Betties, being held back by French Tickler and a wall in front of Sulfuric Acid and D-Day.
Monroe and Monroe clearing out the competition, getting her jammer through. Meanwhile, we got Tequila back in the pack for her first scoring pass.
And remember, every opposing blocker that she passes on this pass and subsequent passes worth 1 point apiece.
And she puts her hands on her hips and calls off the jam.
Get Fit Training. Derby's a dangerous game, and we're all glad that Get Fit Training's the official fitness sponsor, fitness trainer for your Rose City Rollers.
On the Pabst Blue Ribbon Jam line, number 2x4, Deconstructor.
She's going up against a White Flight for the Heartless Heathers.
Well, Dragon 2 jams in, and we still have all of our skaters on the track.
That's true. That is amazing. No one's been called out for a major penalty as of yet. White Flight getting lead jammer for the third time in the row for the Heartless Heathers.
Heartless Heathers starting off quickly, as you mentioned, picking up lead jammer status in the first 3 jams. Deconstructor clear of the pack, giving up about a half track to White Flight right now.
Well, while we talk about what the jammers do a lot, the blockers have a critical role of either assisting their jammer through the pack or slowing down the opposing jammer. Pony, what do you got for us?
I got the Mercury, Portland's source for news and entertainment, proud sponsors of your Rose City Rollers.
And most likely where you purchased your tickets for tonight's event.
Taking the jammer cap for the Break Neck Betties, number 51, Shove Me Tender.
At 3,500 miles per hour, we got Twat Rocket.
Shove Me Tender starting out on the inside rail, dances to the outside, gonna go up against French Tickler and Soul Train at the front of the pack.
She is trying to fight her way through the pack. Betties are still held scoreless, a low-scoring bout so far, 4 minutes in. Betty's yet to get a notch on the board so far.
French Tickler, a thorn in Shove Me Tender's side.
Twat Rocket still trying to fight her way through, dancing around, lead speaking missile, and picking up lead jammer for the Heathers.
French Tickler continuing to go after Shove Me Tender, lead speaking missile, finally taking down Frenchie.
And a follow-up hit there from Wetback Attack. I will say the Heathers have certainly dialed up their defense and level of aggression out there, holding back those ladies in red.
Indeed, Heather's bringing it right now. Very physical in that pack. Shove Me Tender still working on her initial pass for the Betties.
Twat making her way through the pack, picking up points for each Betty that she passes legally.
Lead speaking missile going down in turn 2, quick to recover. Shove Me Tender still looking for an answer to that front wall of Soul Train and Wetback Attack for the Heathers.
Now, if we have no jammer who calls off the jam, or there is no lead jammer, the jam will go for a full 2 minutes. At that point, once that expires, the jam will be called.
Well, Dragon, it looks like, looks like number 308, Skintastic Dynamite, sent to the Rebel Jeweler penalty box, picking up a low block major.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank the Jupiter Hotel, the official crash pad for fans and Derby girls alike. Check out the 15% discount coupon on our website, the Jupiter Hotel.
Well, we're getting a score update from our score presenter, Hella Kitty, out there, giving us a 0 for the Betties, 10 for the Heathers.
Sulfuric acid returning to the Pabst Blue Ribbon Jam line for the Break Neck Betties.
The Blast Unicorn out there for the Heathers. Ooh, a little defensive jamming there goes awry from the Blast point. She ends up taking herself out of bounds. That's gonna mean she's ineligible to be lead jammer. And not only that, but she is going to the penalty box for a cutting the track major, putting the Betties in a power jam situation.
Sulfuric acid making her way through the pack legally, is declared lead jammer status, and then she calls off the jam.
Hey, Rose City Rollers would like to thank our newest sponsor, Ron Tonkin Chevrolet. They'll beat any price in town. That's Ron Tonkin Chevrolet. Thank you.
Well, Mike, let's talk about a few reasons why a jammer would call off the jam. What is the strategy involved with that?
Well, Dragon, there are a number of different reasons that a jammer would call off the jam. If she's made her way through the pack on her scoring pass, has picked off a few points, and sees the opposing jammer getting ready to engage the pack on her scoring pass, she would call off the jam in hopes of keeping that jammer scoreless.
Well, we've got Joyride out there, the only skater wearing a star. Heather shifting their strategy, protecting their points here.
Break Neck Betties in a power jam situation. Joyride clearing the pack first, picking up lead jammer status for the Betties.
D-Day being sent out for an out-of-play major. Once you hit 20 feet in front of that pack, you are no longer allowed to legally hit anyone. And she did, and she's out for a minute.
Heartless Heathers continuing their physical play, but Joyride making her way through the pack, putting the first points on the board for the Break Neck Betties. 5-point pass, that's a grand slam. Not only did she get a point for every blocker that she passed, but she also gets a point for the opposing jammer, as Blast Unicorn is still in the Rebel Jeweler penalty box.
Betty's doing a great job of building up that front wall, slowing down the pack, making it easy for Joyride to pick up those points. Pony, what do you got?
I got our raffle going on right now. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's raffle prizes: free donuts from Voodoo Donuts and a $25 gift certificate to the Delta Cafe. Vixens are on the floor now. Those tickets are $1 each or 10 for $5. Pick them up now.
Great effort by Joyride in that last jam, putting 9 points on the board for the Break Neck Betties. Out on the jam line once again, Deconstructor.
1 point game here for the Betties and Heathers. Heathers starting with a 3-4 disadvantage in the pack, with D-Day still in the box, but at least they've got their jammer out now.
French Tickler leveling Deconstructor. Deconstructor, though, quick to get back up on her skates.
And a huge 1-2 punch with French Tickler and Mercy to follow behind. Unfortunately, what did I say about 20 feet there, Mike?
Indeed, French Tickler tried to engage Deconstructor after Decon was 20 feet out of the pack. Deconstructor right now your lead jammer. Right behind her, though, the Blast Unicorn, giving up about a quarter track.
Heathers are doing the best to be in front of the pack, not giving any quick and easy points to DK there. And as Blast approaches the pack, she calls it off, and it's a scoreless jam.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank Bridgetown Automotive, keeping our motors humming on and off the track. That's Bridgetown Automotive.
Once again, we got Captain Tequila up there for the Heartless Heathers.
And taking her first trip to the jam line tonight, give her no quarter for the Break Neck Betties.
Well, Mike, we're about 10 minutes into this bout. 10-9, 1 point separating the Betties and Heathers here.
Well, Dragon, if you would have told me that about 10 minutes into this bout, we would only have 19 combined points by these two teams, I would have thought you were crazy.
I said it would be anyone's game. Give her no quarter, getting let go, getting lead jammer as no pack was called.
Break Neck Betties have done a great job at splitting the pack, and that helps get their jammer through. Give her no quarter, lead jammer in this jam. Betties poised to try and take control.
When no pack is called, no one from either team can hit or assist, and that sent Soul Train out for an out-of-play penalty for 1 minute.
Give her no quarter, engaging the pack on her scoring pass.
We might have a lead change here.
And give her no quarter through the pack, putting 5 points on the board for a grand slam. Break Neck Betties take the lead.
I gotta say, that's an impressive 2-all up there with Shove Me Tender and Push Latush, holding back Tequila, still not clearing her first pass there.
Francesca and Shove Me Tender doing a good job holding back Tequila.
Well, we've got the box, or the pack, gaining in numbers there. Tequila struggling in the back of the pack, as we've got Giver back in for her second scoring pass.
Squat Rocket dropping, give her no quarter in turn 2.
And Francesca is getting sent out for her 4th minor. Low block tripping was that last minor she acquired.
Pack has been slowed to a snail's pace. Give her no quarter, mixing it up in the pack.
Tequila finally reaching that out-of-play point. Betty's having to let her go, but she just cleared her initial pass, and Giver calls it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're feeling a little thirsty, Rose City Rollers serves Barefoot Wine and Bubbly at all our bouts. Toddle on over and pick some up now. That's Barefoot Wine and Bubbly.
I think a glass of champagne would be an excellent way to celebrate a lead change there, Pony.
I agree.
Sulfuric acid once again on the jam line for the Break Neck Betties.
She's going up against White Flight for the Heartless Heathers. 2 members of the Wheels of Justice out there.
Indeed, Heartless Heathers starting this jam with a 4-3 blocker advantage.
We've got jammers taking inside, taking outside, dancing around through that pack, trying to find that opportunity to finish that pass, and it is White Flight, lead jammer for the Heartless Heathers.
Sulfuric acid, though, through the pack for the Betties.
Betty's picking up 9 points in that last scoring pass, or that last jam, I should say. White Flight determined to regain that lead for the ladies in blue.
White Flight takes a huge hit in turn 4, calls off the jam.
Picks up 2 points in the process.
You think this game looks rough? Try sitting in those aluminum benches for an hour. You might want to call Northwest Medical Massage after the game. Proud sponsors of your Rose City Rollers.
Now, even though White Flight only passed 1 Betty on the track, that's all it takes to earn what we call ghost points, since there was a Betty sitting in the penalty box. So that's why she got 2 points on that scoring pass before she called it off.
Deconstructor on the jam line once again for the Break Neck Betties.
The Blast Unicorn jamming for the Heartless Heathers.
Skintastic Dynamite being sent to the penalty box, picking up her 4th minor penalty.
Blast picking up lead jammer for the Heathers. I gotta say overall, Mike, these packs are actually rather slow for the caliber of teams that are going on. However, the precision in the strategy that's going on within the pack, there's a lot of movement. It's just not forward. It's all sideways.
Indeed, these skaters showing off their lateral movement. Soul Train and D-Day right now still holding back Deconstructor.
This is technically Deconstructor's return. This is her first home team game after coming out of retirement.
Soul Train doing everything she can to hold back Deconstructor.
As long as she stays within that 20 feet range, all of those hits are legal.
Deconstructor now clear of the pack on her initial pass for the Betties.
Blast coming in for a scoring pass.
Frisky Sour doing a great job of holding her back to begin with, but Soul Train drops back and knocks Frisky Sour to the inside.
Blast jumps the inside line there, finishing her scoring pass and calling off the jam.
Classic Derby, classic rock. The Brew, serving up 6 and 12 packs of hits every day. Thank you, The Brew.
Holy cow, Dragon, look at the scoreboard. If that is correct, it looks like it is 18-18.
Well, I may have drank too many PBRs. Maybe I'm just being cross-eyed drunk, but I think it's a tie game.
Holy cow, and we are already halfway through the first half. Joyride returning to the jammer line for the Betties.
Twat Rocket for the Heathers.
And Joyride quickly off the line. Looks like the score has been updated. The Betties are up 1, 18-17.
Well, I want to hear it from the icebox. Let's give a little love to your Heathers and pull up that lead.
Shove Me Tender and Barbahella holding back Twat Rocket at the front of the pack.
Meanwhile, Butcher Block doing a good job of holding Joyride in the back of the pack there with Lieutenant Liherda.
Lead Speaking Missile goes down in turn 4, quick to regroup.
Twat Rocket lead jammer for the Heartless Heathers. Joyride still trying to fight her way through the pack there.
Mercy and Butcher Block, an excellent job of defense for the Heathers. Joyride still looking for a hole through that pack.
Bacchanali and Butcher Block teaming up with Mercy, building an impenetrable back wall there for the Heartless Heathers. And Twat pulls through the pack for 4 points. We now officially have another lead change as the Heathers hit 21 points.
Mercy knocking Joyride to the inside. Joyride making sure she's coming back in legally. And Joyride now through the pack on her initial pass.
Finding I don't think they really noticed her taking the outside there, was able to sneak on by. That was a well-fought and well-earned initial pass there. Twat, meanwhile, back in the pack for her second scoring pass. No pack getting called, releasing Twat for another 5 points, and she calls off the jam.
Whether you want to look like a Derby girl or just be one, Sock Dreams, unique, comfy, sexy socks for the Derby girl and everyone. Sock Dreams, proud sponsors of your Rose City Rollers.
Well, Dragon, at the end of that jam, it looks like number 100 Mercy being sent to the penalty box, having picked up her 4th minor penalty in that jam.
Out of play. Out of play, Major.
Excuse me. Thank you.
That 20 feet applies to the front as well as the back of the pack. White flight jamming for the Heartless Heathers.
Sulfuric acid on the jam line once again for the Break Neck Betties.
A pairing we've seen once or twice before already tonight. And White flight was not in the front, but she sneaks on by, getting lead jammer for the Heartless Heathers.
Wetback attack, and Tequila with a great job of defense, keeping sulfuric acid from getting through that pack first.
White Flight determined to drive up this lead a little bit further for her team, and she picks up 1 point, 2 points. What did I see there? Anything? Bueller?
If you like vegetarian and vegan fare like I do, you're gonna love the Vita Cafe. Thank you, Vita Cafe.
And that was 1 point picked up by White Flight, bringing the Heathers up to 27 points. Betty's sitting at 20, 11 minutes left in this half. Mike?
Give her no quarter, returning to the jammer line for the Break Neck Betties.
Going up against Twat Rocket for the ladies in blue.
Betty's sporting a 4-3 blocker advantage to start this jam. Heathers dropping back with 3 blockers on defense at the back of the pack.
And that's going to give her no quarter the opportunity to take the outside and pick up lead jammer for the Betties.
Twat Rocket being held back by the Princess Snide in the back of the pack.
Betty's definitely tightening up that defense, determined to hold Twat back there.
Give her no quarter, getting ready to engage the pack on her scoring pass. Knocked to the outside by Mercy, and Mercy headed back to the penalty box.
It looks like she picked up a low blot tripping. In for 1 minute, back out for a few seconds, and right back to the penalty box.
Give her no quarter, barreling through the pack, going up against Soul Train at the front of the pack.
Out of play, getting called on Soul Train, and
looks like Give her no quarter picking up 4 points on that pass as she calls off the jam. Magic?
Ladies and gentlemen, halftime's coming up. Celebrate halftime. Celebrate this amazing score with some new Belgian brewing company, Fat Tire Ale.
Mike checks, I don't think the crowd clearly is reflecting the fact that there are only 3 points separating these two teams. I want to hear a little love for your favorite team right now.
Well, the crowd with a little bit of life there, but there's a lot of life and action out there on the track right now. Deconstructor jamming once again for the Break Neck Betties.
And for the first time tonight, we got Whipback Attack jamming for the Heathers.
Soul Train being called for a low block major. Deconstructor making her way through the pack, picking up lead jammer status for the Betties.
Wetback getting caught in the back of the pack, and now getting trapped by Frisky Sour and Barbahella, that front wall of red. 2 tall ladies up there with some long legs.
French Tickler finding herself in a bad spot right now. She was the only blocker out on the track for a couple of moments for the Heartless Heathers. Deconstructor taking advantage of the situation, putting points on the board for the Betties.
Mercy and Frenchie doing their best to clear a path for their jammer. Unfortunately, that's going to leave DK.
But it's Decon working her way through the pack again on a scoring pass, putting 5 more points on the board for the Betties.
We've got another lead change, my checks.
This has been an amazing back and forth bout, exactly what we expected to see between these two teams.
Barbahella being sent off for a high block. You gotta be careful, no hits above the shoulders.
Small spill in turn 1.
Wetback getting sat on there by Scrappy Go Lucky and Push Latush holding her back. Meanwhile,
Deconstructor still working through that pack. However, Heartless Heathers with a great 3-wall in front.
no pack getting called.
Decon's got to be let go, and she puts 5 more points on the board.
Huge hit clearing out Frisky Sour by Soul Train, getting Wetback out of the pack. But DK calls the jam.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank again our newest sponsor, Ron Tonkin Fiat Style Fuel Efficiency. Rain at Ron Tonkin Fiat. Thank you, Ron Tonkin.
Well, Dragon, it looks like we've got a timeout being called by the Heartless Heathers.
Teams do get to call up to 3 one-minute timeouts for the course of one bout. Now let's talk about that last jam, Mike Checks.
Well, an amazing jam for the Break Neck Betties right there, managing to retake the lead from the Heartless Heathers with just under 7 minutes left to play in this first half of action.
That was a tremendous amount of points picked up by Deconstructor.
Well, we shouldn't really trust my math, but I think it was about 15 points picked up by Decon on that jam for the Betties.
That was a great confidence booster for the Betties, a great way to possibly, whoever ends this first period with the lead, definitely feeling the advantage here, but we've only got 12 points separating these teams, and we know that can change in the near jam. That is the whistle to get everyone back into place. Now we're getting place back on the track, but Pony, where's the after party tonight?
Tonight's after party's at the Buffalo Gap, 6835 Southwest McAdam. Your ticket, your bracelet gets you into free for the after party at the Buffalo Gap.
Well, finally the icebox is coming alive. Cheering on the Blast Unicorn, lining up at the PBR jam line for this next jam.
And once again, she lined up against number 20, Sulfuric Acid for the Betties. Breakneck Alley a little quiet, even though they're holding on to a 12-point lead.
Looks like the French Tickler getting waved off for her 4th minor. There's a lot of different penalties you can earn. It could be a major, but it'll take 4 minors to serve the same amount of time in the box.
Well, what happened right there was Sulfuric Acid was almost completely clear of the pack, but Mercy knocked her to the outside of the front straightaway. Mercy also went out of bounds, which allowed Sulfuric Acid to come back in front of her legally, but since she didn't pass Mercy while she was in bounds, Sulfuric Acid was ineligible to become lead jammer.
No pass, no penalty.
Indeed.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank the Nightlife Lounge, RCR's favorite Clinton Street club, and the only place in town you can buy real live tickets to RCR bouts. Thank you, the Nightlife Lounge.
Well, it looks like we've got rookie Bacanelia up there, lining up on the jam line for the Heartless Heathers.
Well, and Dragon, we've got an official timeout, and ladies and gentlemen, an official timeout, unlike a team timeout, officials can call timeouts as they deem necessary. They are not limited to the number in which they can call, nor are they limited to the time in which those timeouts will last, as evidenced right there.
Wow, that was a quick timeout. First whistle to set off the blockers, second whistle to set off the jammers.
Joyride quickly off the line for the Breakneck Betties, finds a huge opening on the inside, and she makes it through, picking up lead jammer status.
Bacanelia still finding her way through the pack with only 2 blockers out there. That is a hard task to do, but she is feisty, and she takes out, she decided to try to take out the entire Betty team bench instead.
Well, and also taking out outside pack ref, No Way Jose. That's Joyride making her way through the pack for the Betties, putting 5 points on the board on a grand slam.
That's right, she, like you said before, she picked up a point for every blocker, but lapped the jammer, so picked up that 5th point. Twa Rocket getting sent off for a major back block.
Joyride already ready to engage the pack once again. Excellent screen, gets her through the back. However, French Tickler rides her to the outside at turn 3. And French Tickler, unfortunately, picking herself up a major penalty for blocking out of bounds.
That's right. If you're outside those pink lines, you gotta stop engaging the other skater.
Soul Train doing a great job of positional blocking against Joyride. But Joyride making her way around, putting another 5 points on the board on the grand slam for the Betties.
Bacanelia still fighting her way through that pack, tooth and nail to clear her first pass. Getting knocked down by Roland Monroe.
Monroe making her presence felt all over that pack in this jam.
And Soul Train giving Bacanelia a huge whip. as Joyride clears for another scoring pass and calls off the jam.
And it looks like another 4 points picked up at the end of that jam on that last pass. Magic?
Rockstar, the official energy drink of the Rose City Rollers. Halftime's coming up. Pick up some Rockstar right now.
Give her no quarter. Returning to the PBR jammer line for the Break Neck Betties.
And debuting on that line for the ladies in blue is Mercy.
Heartless Heathers slow to start the pace of the pack, trying to wind time off their blockers' penalty minute.
Well, and if there's a no pack situation, that's automatically going to draw that second whistle. Mercy is through for lead jammer.
White Flight being sent off the track for a low block major. She's going to go cooler wheels in the Rebel Jeweler penalty box.
It's been a while since the Heathers had a lead jammer. Let's see what kind of damage they can do to get some points on the board here. They've been held scoreless for a few jams. And that tough two-wall of Betties finally getting called out of play. Mercy picking up her points and going home.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank Nutcase Helmets. Helmets so comfortable, you want to wear them all the time. Nutcase Helmets.
Well, those 4 points brought the Heartless Heathers up to 31. Betty's still sitting at 53. We've got about 2 minutes left in this first period.
Heartless Heathers starting this jam with 2 blockers in the penalty box. 1 blocker in the box for the Break Neck Betties. And number 24, Deconstructor on the line.
The crowd is certainly starting to thin out there on the track as the bout winds on and those penalties accumulate.
Skintastic Dynamite and Soul Train holding back Deconstructor at the front of the pack.
Oh, and the Blast Unicorn getting sent out for a cutting the track major. That means she got knocked out of bounds and re-entered in front of the person who hit her out.
Well, that was Scrappy Go Lucky, and it's instead Scrappy Go Lucky being sent to the penalty box for the Break Neck Betties.
Looks like she picked up a forearm.
Pack is completely light out there. We've got 2 blockers for the Betties, 2 blockers for the Heathers.
And it looks like Northern Lights Out getting sent out for a destruction of the pack penalty. Or failure to reform the pack. There's no pack, and we need a pack out there, Mike. Help me out here.
Well, it looks like we've got one now as Deconstructor coming up on the back of the pack for her next scoring pass. Barba Hella knocking Soul Train outside of turn 4.
Unfortunately, DK getting held up a wall of Skintastic and White Flight. That is quite a feat to get around, and she gets knocked down and recycled to the back and subsequently calls off the jam.
Rough play, rough training. Get Fit Training, the official fitness trainers for your Rose City Rollers and the home of the 30-minute Hit to Fit training class.
Mercy back up on the jam line for the Heartless Heathers.
Sulfuric Acid returning to the Pabst Blue Ribbon jam line for the Break Neck Betties. Break Neck Betties in a tough spot right now. 2 blockers in the penalty box, and it looks like the Heathers at full strength.
That is a good opportunity for the Heathers to put a few more points on the board possibly before we hit this upcoming halftime, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last jam of period 1.
Sulfuric Acid taking a body whip off a Joyride in the middle of the pack. Mercy using wetback attack as a blocking missile.
And picks up lead jammer.
She's got about 2 or 3 strides on Sulfuric Acid, who's hot on her wheels. An amazing jam going into halftime. Rebel Jeweler penalty box emptying out right now. Both teams at full strength, Dragon.
Well, and everyone's racing to get ahead, racing to get points. Mercy calls off the jam.
No points scored in this final jam of the first half. We're going into halftime, and it looks like we've got a score of Break Neck Betties 58, Heartless Heathers 31.
We've got about 15 minutes. However, in 10 minutes, Pony, what's going to come up?
The raffle's coming up in 10 minutes. Vixens are on the floor.
Heartless Heathers are matching up against Brave Danger, and if you weren't watching the February 19th bout, that bout was actually won by the Heathers in an overtime jam. My heart actually stopped beating during that bout.
Well, speaking of stopping, Dragon, we've been having a little bit of issue with the scoreboard here in the first half. So, folks, please be aware that there's a little bit of lag on the scoreboard, and the official time is being kept on the track. So, thank you for your patience. And the game is back on.
Skaters are getting back out on the track.
We've got Give Her No Quarter on the jam line for the Break Neck Betties.
White flight lining up for the Heathers. Now, right now, we are entering period 2. Betties with twice the score of the Heathers, 62-31.
Hey, Mike. Thank you very much.
Now, I want to start the second period off right. Now, the Heathers may be behind, but I think if they get a little love from the cadavers out there, they can turn that around. Let me hear it from the icebox.
What about Breakneck Alley? Breakneck Alley, represent for your Betties.
And White Flight has lead jammer for the Heartless Heathers.
Give Her No Quarter push to the inside of the second straightaway.
Now the Betties are down a blocker because you may have gotten your penalty in period 1. Doesn't mean you get to start period 2 off easy. And White Flight just picks up 5 points for the Heartless Heathers.
Give Her No Quarter free of the pack on her initial pass. Heathers with some stifling defense at the back of the pack.
White Flight picking up 4 points.
Give Her No Quarter push to the outside at turn 1. Regroups this her first scoring pass.
White Flight determined to bring the Heathers back into period 2, back on the map. In for her third scoring pass. Picks up another 5 points.
9 points so far this jam for White Flight. Give Her No Quarter still on her first scoring pass for the Breakneck Betties.
I believe that was 14 points.
Like I said, we really shouldn't trust my math.
You shouldn't trust anything that comes out of my mouth. Meanwhile, White Flight back in for another scoring pass, and
Give Her No Quarter being sent off the track, picking up her 4th minor penalty. That puts White Flight in a power jam.
Whitey is eyeing her competition around Shove Me Tender and Frisky, picking up another 5 points for the Heathers. 19 points so far.
And the Heathers pack defense absolutely amazing in that jam.
3 more points. That was a 22-point jam, unofficially by my math.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank Timothy Murray Photography and Portland Vital Signs. When you need pictures or awesome posters, think of those 2 sponsors, Portland Vital Signs and Timothy Murray Photography.
That 2 minutes reviving the Heartless Heathers into period 2, closing up that point gap to 9 points. Oh my goodness, Mike checks.
On the jammer line unopposed for the Heartless Heathers, Soul Train.
She slices right up the middle, but picks up a minor forearm. Not your lead jammer. Woo. Big booty hit from Deconstructor in the back of the pack.
And Snowblind looks like she's signaling Soul Train off the track for a major back block penalty.
Now, we've got no jammers on the track, which is not allowed, so...
One Soul Train sits down. Give her no quarter, going to be released from the Rebel Jeweler penalty box.
And she is in the pack, working on her first pass. Heathers tightening up their defense.
Frenchie with another big hit on Give her no quarter.
Someone's getting called out for a forearm.
It looks like it is French Tickler being sent off the track for the Heathers.
No pack getting called. Unfortunately, Giver slipping a little on her own, recycling herself to the back of the pack.
Giver has to deal with Twat Rocket and Mercy with a humongous hit on Give her no quarter, knocking her to the outside of the front straightaway.
Heathers do not want to let her through. They want to protect that 9-point differential.
Give her no quarter, popping through the pack, picking up lead jammer status for the Betties, and then calling an end to the jam. Betties looking to regroup right now. Magic?
A huge shout out to the Unity pages, building communities, one person, one customer, one opportunity at a time. The Unity pages.
Whew.
Oh my gosh, Dragon.
7 points. That's it.
That's it, 7 points separating these teams right now. Roughly 25 minutes left to go in this second half of action.
Anybody's game.
Barba Hella taking the jammer cap for the first time tonight for the Betties.
But meanwhile, the Blast Unicorn picking up lead jammer for the Heartless Heathers.
D-Day with a big hit on Barba Hella, knocking her to the outside of turn 4.
That wipeout almost taking out the crowd with her.
Barba Hella getting around F-bomb at the front of the pack. Barba Hella clear on her initial pass for the Betties.
Meanwhile, we got the Blast Unicorn in the center of that sea of red, trying to pick up her first set of points.
Barba Hella slipping through the pack completely undetected, putting 5 more points on the board for the Break Neck Betties.
Blast Unicorn sitting at the back of the pack. Her 3 teammates trying to get her through. She does, picks up 4 and calls it off.
Rose City Rollers love the Fire on the Mountain. Buffalo Wings to die for. 2 locations, Burnside and Interstate. That's Fire on the Mountain.
White Flight back up on the PBR jam line for the Heartless Heathers.
Joyride opposing her on the jam line for the Break Neck Betties. White Flight, huge hit on Joyride.
But she stays on her feet. White Flight dancing to the outside, getting knocked to the inside by Scrappy Go Lucky. Out of play gets called. White Flight lead jammer once again for the Heartless Heathers.
Joyride fighting against Mercy and Twat Rocket at the front of the pack.
A Trinidad Assassin getting sent off for her 4th minor, looks like for a forearm.
Mercy with a great last-ditch effort there against Joyride. Joyride shrugging off the hit, getting through on her initial pass.
And White Flight finishing, picking up 4 points and calling off the jam.
Rockstar Energy Drink, the official sports drink. Your Rose City Rollers. Pick up some Rockstar right now.
Heathers only trailing by 4 points. That is a single scoring pass. And the icebox is coming alive. The Blast Unicorn up there for the Heathers.
For the Break Neck Betties, number 20, sulfuric acid on the jam line.
Heathers with a disadvantage, having only 3 blockers on the track to the Betties 4.
And it's sulfuric acid making her way through the back, picking up lead jammer status for the Betties.
Woo. Big pile up of Francesca and Mercy there on the straightaway. Blast doing her best, trying to juke around Frisky Sour, finally getting the out-of-play signal and lets her go.
Frisky Sour, though, with some amazing positional blocking at the front of the pack for the Betties. Sulfuric Acid skating low, skating quickly for the Betties, going up against Quad Rocket at the front of the pack. The last blocker, she's got to get around.
And seeing the Blast Unicorn approach the back of the pack, hauls off the jam before the Heathers can put any points on the board there.
Right now, it'd be a great time to toddle on over to the concession stand and pick up some Barefoot wine and bubbly. Glass of champagne is a great way to celebrate your favorite team. With a score like this, you never know which way it might go. Barefoot wine and bubbly.
Well, Dragon, it looked like Soul Train was coming off the Heathers bench, going to take the jammer cap, but we had a pre-jam jammer cap switch. It's now White Flight on the path blue ribbon jammer line for the Heartless Heathers.
And Deconstructor up there for the Break Neck Betties. Deconstructor fighting her way, getting caught up in that front wall of blue, taking it down, but it does not slow her down, picking up lead jammer.
Butcher block being sent to the penalty box for the Heartless Heathers.
She's going to join her teammate Tequila out there.
Breakneck Betty's going to use that 4-2 blocker advantage out on the track right now. White Flight going up against Bush Latouche.
An excellent waterfall, pushing her around by Barbara Hella out of bounds, being careful not to pick up a cutting the track penalty.
Deconstructor making her way through the pack, putting 5 points on the board on the grand slam for the Betties.
Heathers losing Soul Train to her 4th minor. That only leaves her with 1 blocker in blue out there.
White back attack, a huge hit on Deconstructor, knocking her out of turn 2.
She wiped out, but she is back up on her feet, picking up another 5 points for the Betties.
White Flight through the pack on her initial pass, and Decon calling off the jam for the Betties.
We'd like to thank the Mercury, your source for entertainment news here in Portland, the Mercury.
Well, just like that, Dragon, the Betties reasserting themselves, up 16 points on the Heathers.
Well, we've got 19 minutes left in this second period, though. We'll just have to see where it goes from here.
In this jam, it looks like the Betties starting with a 4-2 blocker advantage. Once again, Joyride taking the star.
And Twat Rocket jamming for the Heartless Heathers. French Tickler following out Joyride, but she picks up lead jammer.
Joyride making her way around the track quickly. Twat Rocket still going up against that wall of 3 Betties blockers in the front. Shove Me Tender, Marola, Monroe, and Scrappy Go Lucky.
Joyride sails to that pack with Mercy on her tail, but picks up 5 more points for the Betties.
And the pack just continues to be amazingly physical. Marola and Monroe being sent off the track for a penalty.
Forearm, 4th minor, which was a forearm.
Joyride through the pack once again. 5 more points on the board. Grand Slam Betties.
Rose City Rollers would like to send a huge shout out to Oaks Amusement Park, the home of the hangar, the home of your Rose City Rollers.
Timeout being called by the Heartless Heathers. Betties coming out like a house on fire. Heartless Heathers taking control immediately out of the gate in the second half, but the Breakneck Betties decided they had enough of that seemingly and come storming back on their own and established themselves a 26-point lead here with 18 minutes left to play.
Well, we've seen an impressive game from both teams out here so far tonight. The Heathers definitely, the momentum that they've been carrying that's been drawing them through is certainly bringing a more aggressive game to the track. Unfortunately, sometimes it goes a little too far and they've been drawing more penalties, and their lack of presence on the track has been impacting their point scoring.
Well, that's exactly what seems to be happening, is the fact that the Heathers have an extremely aggressive style of play this evening. Unfortunately, with that aggressive style of play, as you mentioned, come some penalties along with that, and the shift in momentum seems to come when those penalties accrue and those blockers and jammers end up in the penalty box.
And with the Betties playing a slightly cleaner game, while aggression certainly can be a super effective method, it's a little unbalanced, and so far have not been able to regain the lead in the past few jams.
Whether you want to drown your sorrows or celebrate your win, New Belgium Brewing Company, Fat Tire Pale Ale right here at the hangar. Pick some up right now.
You can pick one up now, or you can pick one up at
the after party tonight at the Buffalo Gap. That's at 6835 Southwest McAdam. Your ticket, your bracelet gets you in for free to the Buffalo Gap for tonight's after party.
There's going to be a little karaoke party going on over there.
Karaoke?
I don't know how to use a microphone.
Me neither. Well, I'm banned from karaoke.
Yeah, don't trust me with one.
Dragon, it looks like Tequila picked up an illegal procedure, and so she has been sent to the penalty box for 1 minute for the Heathers.
Well, that's going to only leave them with 2 blockers out there. Last unicorn jamming for the Heathers.
And number 20, sulfuric acid jamming for the Break Neck Betties. Break Neck Betties trying to cash in on this blocker advantage, and they do. Sulfuric acid getting through the pack first.
Hot on our heels, though. We've got the Blast Unicorn. Both teams speeding up this pack. And just like I thought, jam is called, no points all around.
Well, a great strategic move right there by the Break Neck Betties. Blast Unicorn right on the wheels of sulfuric acid, calling off the jam, keeping those opposing blockers in the penalty box, resetting, and getting ready to roll again.
Games like this, Mike, it makes me glad that Northwest Medical Massage is one of our proud sponsors.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit tense up here. One of those massages after this would be absolutely amazing.
Soul Train jamming for the Heartless Heathers.
Barbahella jamming for the Break Neck Betties.
Not who you normally see jamming for either team. Meanwhile, Soul Train getting lead jammer.
Barbahella almost clear of the pack. Big hit by Mercy. Barbahella partially recycled, still working on her initial pass.
Beautiful waterfall defense from the Heathers, but she clears the pack.
Well, and for the Heathers, they've got 3 blockers out there that have been seemingly everywhere tonight. French Tickler, wet back attack, and Mercy.
Soul Train finishing her first scoring pass, picking up 4 points for the Heathers.
Barbahella looking to engage. Mercy, as we said earlier, holding her back.
Barbahella looking for the opportunity. Heathers closing in each time.
Wet back attack and French Tickler continuing to be a thorn in the side of Barbahella. And now Mercy getting in on the action, knocking her to the outside of turn 2.
That's going to send her into the back now. Each person she passed and earned a point. She doesn't lose it just because she's in the back of the pack.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Give Her No Quarter going down in turn 3. We appreciate you guys giving us a moment or two of silence there. It just makes it easier for the skaters to communicate with the EMTs and the officials. Makes it easier for everybody to hear what's going on down there on the track so the skaters can be attended to. So thank you for your patience. Give Her No Quarter being attended to by Intensive Scare. And it looks like Wenchwart and the rest of the referee crew is ready to get this bout back underway. Well, Dragon, to reset the situation here a little bit, we've got the Break Neck Betties at 93, Heartless Heathers at 71.
We're about halfway through the second period.
This jam going to start with the Break Neck Betties rocking a 4-3 blocker advantage as Mercy cooling her wheels in the penalty box for the Heathers. And now White Flight picking up her 4th minor penalty. She started out of play on purpose so that she could clear out her minor penalties.
Most likely because she has another jammer star in her future here. Always good to send your jammers out with as little number of minors as possible.
On the track right now, Deconstructor going up against the wall of Quad Rocket and Wetback attack.
Wetback knocking DK to the inside of the track.
Push Latouche popping up to help out Deconstructor. Deconstructor gets clear of the pack and picks up lead jammer status for the Betties.
The Blast Unicorn still fighting her way through the pack. Her teammate Twat trying to thread her through the pack there.
All those minor penalties coming back to haunt the Heathers right now. Wetback attack picking up her 4th minor being sent to the penalty box for the Heathers.
Meanwhile, Blast clear through the pack on her initial pass.
Decon putting 4 points on the Betty's side of the board and calls off the jam before a Blast Unicorn can engage the pack on her scoring pass.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank PDX Pipeline, your source for Portland music, arts, entertainment happenings. Happenings like this game right now. Thank you, PDX Pipeline.
Number 360, Joyride, returning to the PBR jammer line for the Break Neck Betties.
Soul Train out there for the Heartless Heathers.
Break Neck Betties with a 4-1 blocker advantage. French Tickler once again tonight finding herself out there all alone trying to block those Betties.
Oh, Frenchie going in for the hit, but Joyride just shakes it on off, picks up lead jammer.
Ain't no thing for Joyride, lead jammer for the Betties.
Soul Train fighting her way through the pack as the box empties out. Her teammates try to clear her a path. Unfortunately, it takes out a few extra skaters as well.
Soul Train engaging the pack once again on this initial pass of hers. Frisky Sour, Shove Me Tender, holding her back. Joyride going through almost undetected, putting 4 more points on the Betty side of the board.
Soul Train getting a push from her teammate, finally clearing that pack.
Franchecchia putting a hit on French Tickler and White Flight as she regroups with the other Betty's blockers at the front of the pack.
White Flight going in for a good hit, gets Joyride on 1 foot, but she stays in bounds, picks up 4 points and calls off the jam.
Cafe Montage, one of my favorite places for breakfast. Derby girls everywhere. Cafe Montage, what are you waiting for?
Sulfuric Acid finds herself on the jam line once again for the Break Neck Betties.
Shockingly matched up against White Flight for the Heartless Heathers. And we have an empty penalty box. Or do my eyes deceive me, Mike?
No, I believe you are correct. We have an empty Rebel Jeweler penalty box.
And I jinxed it. Mercy getting sent off for a counterclockwise, or excuse me, a clockwise block. major right off the bat there.
Oh, that empty penalty box didn't last too long. Mercy being sent there first, White Flight being sent there next. Power jam situation for the Break Neck Betties, and sulfuric acid is your lead jammer.
It looks like White Flight had a major back block. However, she is getting a second minute for insubordination.
And that is not going to do the Heathers any favors right now. Sulfuric acid, the Break Neck Betties going to try and cash in on this as much as they possibly can.
Heather's sitting at the front of the pack for that last line of defense to trap acid.
Bush, Latush, and Monroe helping sulfuric acid through the pack. Sulfuric acid, grand slam for the Break Neck Betties.
Mercy rejoining the track for all four blockers out there for the Heathers.
Sulfuric acid managing to stay on her skates, and in the meantime, picking up another grand slam for the Betties. My, oh my.
Betties trapping back a Heather in order to define the pack and control the pace. The slower they can keep the pack out there, the easier it is for acid to lap as many times as possible and pick up as many points as possible.
Holy cow, Dragon, do you have any rye bread? That looks like another grand slam for sulfuric acid and the Break Neck Betties to end that jam.
Well, and while you may be watching the action here, if you're watching it from home on roastcityrollers.com, you may actually be watching it at Kay's Bar. It's a sold-out event, and I know a lot of people headed down to our little local watering hole to watch the action. So thank you for everyone who is at Kay's Bar right now.
Kay's Bar, proud sponsors of the Rose City Rollers and the Break Neck Betties.
Deconstructor on the jammer line, unopposed in this power jam situation for the Betties, and she makes quick work of the pack, picking up lead jammer status.
Heartless Heathers turning up the defense, a little man-on-man action.
Deconstructor shrugging off hits from almost every Heathers blocker as she makes her way through the pack on that scoring pass, picking up 5 points.
And it looks like the French Tickler picking up an out-of-play major. But I don't know, maybe you just noticed White Flight sail through that pack, clear her initial pass there, out of the penalty box.
Decon got to work her way around Blast Unicorn, wear the pivot cap for the Heathers. Decon does. She picks up 5 more points for the Betties and calls off the jam.
Mike Thrasher presents Portland's leading events promoter. If it's happening, Mike Thrasher's probably putting it on. Mike Thrasher presents.
Timeout being called by the Heartless Heathers, and real quick, we have a birthday announcement. Easton Haglund celebrating his 10th birthday here this afternoon. Happy birthday, Easton Haglund. Yeah, what? I rock a microphone here.
Well, as I mentioned, tonight is a sold-out bout, and if you want to see what the Rose City Rollers are up to next, April 23rd, the home teams are going to be headed to the Memorial Coliseum to battle Rhapsodies for home teams. Just a little thing, a little rematch from February, but I don't know, Mike, what is the Wheels of Justice up to next?
Well, Dragon, the Wheels of Justice are going to be taking on Bay Area. Right here in this very hangar, and you know what? We're not letting anybody in.
Oh no, but I want to see what's going on.
You know, if you really want to see what's going on, you should go down to the Baghdad Theater that afternoon. Doors will open at 1 o'clock. Pocket Knife will start at 1:30, and the bout will start at 2 o'clock. It's $8 admission. It's all ages. And fans, it is the only way that you are going to see the Wheels of Justice avenge their loss at West Regionals to the Bay Area Derby Girls.
There is going to be the smell of blood in the air that night.
This is going to be an amazing bout, and
it is not to be.
I might be a little biased. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it is not to be missed. We got the action back here on the track, though. Mercy jamming for the Heartless Heathers. And Lethal Lolita jamming for the Break Neck Betties.
Lethal Lolita finding a wall of blue at the front of the pack. That's sulfuric acid and D-Day.
Mercy taking a hip assist from her teammate, unfortunately getting right into the back of Scrappy Go Lucky and Push Latush.
Defense being amped up here as time is winding down in this second half of play.
Lethal almost out on the inside, but Soul Train takes her. Meanwhile, Mercy is through. Lead jammer for the Heathers.
Lethal going up against D-Day at the front of the pack. D-Day with some great blocking.
She gets a whip assist from Joyride. And we've got an empty penalty box.
Well, last time we jinxed that pretty quickly. Let's see if we can go 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Mercy working her way through the pack on this scoring pass. Coming up against Scrappy Go Lucky, finds a way around her on the outside line.
Quickly calling off the jam before Lethal can pick up any points.
Rose City Rollers would like to thank Fat Lip Industries. Fat Lip, carve hard, ride fast, be free. Fat Lip, skatefatlip.com.
Sulfuric acid on the jam line once again for the Break Neck Betties. Let's hear it for Break Neck Alley.
She's going up against White Flight, the pair of the evening. Come on, Heathers fans, let's give it a little love for White Flight.
Sulfuric acid almost finding daylight on the outside of the track, however, pushed to the outside of the far straightaway.
White Flight fighting her way through that front wall of red, but they are not giving her an inch.
Sulfuric acid picking up her 4th minor penalty. That's going to earn her a trip to the penalty box.
And White Flight gets lead jammer. Power jam situation for the Heathers.
61 points separating these two teams. White Flight going to put as many points back on the Heather side of the board as she can.
And she picks up 5 points for the ladies in blue. It's a start. Let's see where it goes.
Heather's doing their best to slow the pace of the pack. Twat Rocket fighting against Lead Speaking Missile.
Heather's doing what they can to trap back a Betty and control.
Shove Me Tender pushing White Flight to the outside of the far straightaway, but White Flight had to be set free, putting 5 more points on the board for the Heathers.
That is a 10-point jam so far.
White Flight coming back for thirds, being pushed around by Francesca and Shove Me Tender, but she gets through. That's 5 more points, 15 points so far for White Flight.
But she's not done yet. Betty's racing ahead, not giving her any easy points this time around. But she's determined to take a few and calls off the jam.
Should be noted that Sulfuric Acid came out of the penalty box, made her way through on the initial pass, and managed to put 2 points on the board for the Betties by the time that jam came to an end.
Right now, I'd like to thank all of the Break Neck Betties sponsors. That's Moreland Vision, Kelly's Olympian, Joe's Burgers, Dan Morship, and Joseph, their biggest fans. Red Velvet Parlor, All That Jazz Photography, Big D's Print House, Voodoo Donuts, and John Craig Music.
And we have an official timeout being called officially by our officials. Looks like at the end of that jam, Lead Speaking Missile getting sent to the box for her 4th minor. I gotta say, I wanna give a huge shout out to all of our skating officials and NSOs. They make all of this possible. They count the points, they count the penalties, they count more things than I can even keep track of.
They count more things than we can count.
Are they counting where tonight's after party is? That's at the Buffalo Gap, 6835 Southwest Macadam. Your bracelet, your ticket gets you in for free.
Deconstructor jamming once again for the Break Neck Betties.
Twat Rocket jamming for the Heartless Heathers.
Deconstructor shrugging off a couple hits, but cuts the track. She sent it to the penalty box.
Another power jam situation for the Heathers. Let me hear it, Icebox. Let's give Twat Rocket a little bit of love to get her through that pack. She gets lead jammer.
Break Neck Betties down one blocker, 4-3 to the Heathers.
Heathers making the pack crawl at a standstill. Trying to clear out Barbahella and Joyride.
Mercy pushing Barbahella out of the way, clearing a path for Twat Rocket.
She picks up 5 points.
Betty's blockers regrouping, push Latouche getting in the way of Twat Rocket as she works her way through on her next scoring pass.
Big whip from her teammate, but now the Betties reform in front of the pack. They are not wanting a repeat of the last 2 minutes.
Lead Speaking Missile, a huge hit on Twat Rocket, followed up by a huge hit on Lead Speaking Missile by Butcher Block.
Twat trying to fight her way around Barbahella, clearing and picking up another 5 points for the Heathers. However, she is not the only jammer on the track anymore.
No, Deconstructor back out on the track for the Break Neck Betties, and it looks like Soul Train being called for a low block major.
DK getting taken out by Mercy.
And another low block penalty being assessed by a Wench Warden.
To Barbahella there at the end of the jam. Woo. These last 2 minutes are not going to go quietly into the night, Mike Jacks.
No, they are not. Only 34 points separating these two teams.
And the Heathers alone have gotten 20, 24, something about that points in the last 2 jams. I'm sweating with anticipation.
Holy cow. Sulfuric acid returning to the jammer line for the Break Neck Betties.
The Blast Unicorn up there for the Heathers. A little bit of defensive jamming before we get to the pack there.
French Tickler doing battle with sulfuric acid. Tequila knocking her around too, but sulfuric acid shrugging off the hitch, picking up lead jammer status for the Betties.
Betty's doing an excellent job of staying on the Blast Unicorn, but she clears her initial pass as well.
Give her no quarter, back out on the track, mixing it up for the Betties.
It's a heavy 3-on-3 defense in blue and red out there right now, Mike.
Indeed, sulfuric acid and Blast Unicorn both eligible to score points for their teams.
And it looks like both teams picking up 4 points for the Heathers.
3 points for the Betties, and we've got an official timeout.
Whew. Now, we've got 33 seconds left on the period clock. This bout is not going to end when that clock hits 0. If we get a jam started, the bout will end with the jam clock, or if the jam is called. So don't get too antsy.
So Warden, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to have 49 seconds left on the period clock, correct? All right, we are making sure that the time on the scoreboard reflects the time on the track. There is 49 seconds left to be played in this bout. But Dragon, just because there's only 49 seconds left on the period clock,
well, it's good to hear that the fans are rooting on their favorite team, because we've got minutes, potentially, of play left. And I want to hear some noise from both sides.
The whistle has been blown to start the jam. Slow start by both teams.
I think only Francesca is the one here who wants to skate. And it looks like both teams killing a little time to get their blockers out of the box.
Francesca doing everything she can to go to all of the blockers to join her.
I guess she's just not charming enough to skate with. We've got White Flight jamming for the Heathers, and she is lead jammer!
Deconstructor trying to pick her spot. White Flight wasting no time.
Oh! Picking up 5 points for the ladies in blue.
An amazing blocking contingent out there for the Heartless Heathers right now. Twat Rocket, Mercy, and Soul Train.
Building that front wall.
Butcher Block out there mixing it up for the Heathers as well. And we've got skaters aplenty being sent to the penalty box, but it's White Flight putting another 5 points on the Heathers side of the board.
10-point jam so far, losing Twat Rocket to the box for a low block tripping.
Deconstructor now clear of the pack on her initial pass. Soul Train and Butcher Block, the only 2 blockers out there for the Heathers.
What is gonna happen? The pack is separating, and White Flight puts her hands on her hips, ending the jam with 8 seconds left on the jam clock. That is the end of the game clock for this bout.
We're waiting to make sure that all of the points are officially tallied.
Once we get a thumbs up from Wench Warden, we will declare the final score.
Well, Dragon, an amazing bout between these 2 teams.
I am besides myself with all the action tonight.
I am beside you as well, Dragon.
We got a thumbs up. It looks like a big congratulations to the Break Neck Betties. 140, Heartless Heathers, 116.
Holy cow.
A big one last round of applause for the Break Neck Betties. And of course, their contenders tonight, the Heartless Heathers. A hard-fought bout all around.
Yes, indeed. Both of these teams left it all out on the track tonight. Dragon, an amazing effort by both squads. But ladies and gentlemen, the night is not over yet. Please join us for the after party at the Buffalo Gap.
There's gonna be karaoke, there's gonna be drinks, and there's gonna be us.
I'm sure there's probably going to be a little bit of chicanery as well.
All of those things are good things to join us at the Buffalo Gap. Thank you for coming out tonight, watching your favorite teams. We'll see you April 23rd at the Memorial Coliseum. And go to rosecityrollers.com, get your tickets, and buy us a beer at the after party.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening.